Bowen Island, British Columbia, is an island municipality in Howe Sound, is part of the Greater Vancouver Regional District, and is an island included within the jurisdiction of the Islands Trust. Approximately 6 kilometers wide by 12 kilometers long, the island at its closest point is about 3 kilometers west of the mainland. There is regular ferry service from Horseshoe Bay, as well as 3 water taxi services. The population of 3,402 is supplemented in the summer by roughly 1,500 visitors, as Bowen Island is a popular vacation home location for British Columbians. About 500 workers and over 200 students commute to offices and schools on the mainland each day. The island has a land area of 49.94 square kilometers, 19.28 square miles. Indigenous peoples. The name for Bowen Island is Nexwelixm in the Squamish language of the Squamish people. The Squamish peoples used and occupied the area around Howe Sound, including Bowen Island. Areas such as Snug Cove and a few other parts of the island were used as campsites for hunting and gathering trips. Historically, they would use the warmer spring and summer months to travel to resource gathering sites and move from their permanent winter villages. The strip of land between Bowen and Finisterre Islands has a name that translates to fast drumming ground. The tide rushing in and out is reminiscent of the sound of drums beating quickly. The name Queemsham is used for Hood Point. Bowen is still used by people from Squamish and Musqueam for deer hunting. Into the 20th century, Bowen Island was actively used by Squamish people for deer and duck hunting, fishing and, later, wage jobs. In conversations with Vancouver archivist Major Matthews in the 1950s, August Jack Katsalana recalls knowing several Squamish who worked for whalers on the island at the turn of the 20th century. In a conversation with City of Vancouver archivist Yaw Matthews, Katsalano himself recalls deer hunting on Bowen, saying that at one time he took the biggest deer in British Columbia from the island, weighing in at 195 pounds. Post-colonization. When Spanish explorers arrived on the west coast of Canada, they named many of the features of what is now the Strait of Georgia. Bowen Island was called Isla de Apodaca, after the Mexican town of Apodaca, in northeastern Nuevo León province, itself named after a benevolent bishop, Salvador de Apodaca y Loreto, by the Spanish captain José María Narváez in July, 1791. In 1860 CPT, George Henry Richards renamed the island after Rear Admiral James Bowen, master of the HMS Queen Charlotte. Bowen remained a wilderness until 1871, when homesteaders built houses and started a brickworks, which supplied bricks to the expanding city of Vancouver. Over the years, local industry has included an explosives factory, logging, mining, and milling, although there is no heavy industry on the island at present. In the first half of the 20th century, life on Bowen was dominated by a resort operated by the Terminal Steamship Company, 1900 to 1920, and the Union Steamship Company, 1920 to 1962. These companies provided steamer service to Vancouver, and the Horseshoe Bay, Bowen Island ferry began in 1921. When the Union Steamship Resort closed in the 1960s, the island returned to a quiet period of slow growth. In the 1940s and 1950s, the artist colony called Leban was a retreat for many famous Canadian authors, artists, and intellectuals, including Earl Birney, Alice Munro, Dorothy Livesey, Margaret Lawrence, A.J.M. Smith, Jack Shadbolt, Eric Nichol, and Malcolm Lowry, who finished his last book, October Ferry to Gabriola, there. It is now a National Historic Site of Canada. In the 1980s, real estate pressures in Vancouver accelerated growth on Bowen, and currently the local economy is largely dependent on commuters who work on the mainland in Greater Vancouver. Prior to becoming a municipality, Bowen Island was part of the Sunshine Coast Regional District, made up of small communities and municipalities. However, in the 1980s the island transferred to the Greater Vancouver Regional District after a campaign organized by developers and realtors. A campaign to make the island an autonomous municipality was successful after 2 referendum attempts. In 1999 the Bowen Island Municipality was incorporated, becoming the second island municipality in BC. The first was Salt Spring Island, which was incorporated in 1873 and dissolved by the BC legislature 10 years later.